This is my WDD330 final project, and I'm just gonna go through the self-evaluation uh, questions here real quick. And as I do, I'm also gonna look over the code just to explain why and how I did all this. I coded my site. So the first question here, becoming more efficient at applying your innate curiosity and creativity. With a little guidance, student is able to generate project ideas, apply their knowledge, and improve their skills. Students enjoy asking what if questions and pursuing their answers. I was able to make sure that everything worked in this site. There were a lot of problems I ran into, especially when pulling from the API that I selected. If I go to my info view here, you can see that I got the API information. I made sure that I placed it in an element, a list element in my HTML document or HTML document. It would be in this unordered list, ID of info list, and I passed in a type. And this type is to make sure that I can format the information I am getting correctly. So for capsules, if I go here, it will format it in some way, and then or a certain manner, and then some other link will go to some. We'll use a different formatting for it, but everything works. All the links work just fine. Just to show one of them, here's one of the links working, and I wanted to show what I had to do for some of these images. I unfortunately was not able to get the images to work correctly, and the reason behind that is, if you can see down here, all of these Imgur images that come from there, they would not just appear on here. And after some troubleshooting and trying a few things here and there, I found out that the Imgur has something that blocks any website from using their images. So what I found was that if I open a new tab and removed any references to my site using this, let me see if I can find one of the examples here. This release or guess relinquish, no opener, no referer. It will remove my reference or the reference to my site, making it think that a user's navigating straight to the Imgur site. So any image that is Imgur will unfortunately need to follow that. So everything, it works, all the links work just fine, but that is one thing that I had to work on. So I feel like I am pretty confident in where I'm at. I'm pretty proficient in finding solutions for problems I run into. The second question here is becoming more dexterous and exploring your environment. A little bit more about that. Oh, I guess. Um, yeah. So student will is adept in finding other resources, filling the gaps. I feel like that was a mastery, and again, it was mostly because of the issues I ran with the API and also with the images, just things that I had to go out and search out on my own. I was able to find good sources that helped me out and helped me fix that problem. Um, Question 3, students active participant in the team activities. Student watches for opportunities to help with peers and feels satisfaction when they are able to successfully help someone. And I selected mastery on that, and that is because Every week when we had a team meeting, I know I was able to share my screen. I was able to code with others, and I feel like I learn more helping others, either answering their questions or me asking questions and having them help me out. Um, Being able to be in a team really helped me out this semester, and it was mostly because I think there were some shortcomings on my end and some on my teammates' ends that really helped us all gain new experiences and new ways of programming. I know there are a lot of new tools that I did not know about that I am glad my teammates were able to show me as well. Question 4 here. Student spends adequate time in planning their projects before they start coding. Student is adept at taking a complex problem, breaking it down to small trivial steps. And I had to do that in this site for sure. I struggled from the beginning to really understand the MVC structure on the front end side. I am pretty comfortable in the back end, but for whatever reason, I had a difficult time switching from one area to another, and I think it's because in the back end, you kind of separate everything completely. So if it's a control or a model or a view, it is in their it's in its own um, folder, and everything's completely separate. And here, I kind of try to do that. That's why I followed the week nine, um, the week nine example, was because it had the closest looking layout that I could match for MVC that I felt comfortable with. So I separated like the views, the controllers, the models. So here's my controller, and then it would just call the models um, files, JavaScript files, so that they could handle all the things that needed to be handled. And another thing was that in this routing uh, file, I had to really figure out how to split up everything out. It took a long time to get a good working setup, since once this was all declared and added to the API, I had to go into the info view and I had to make sure that every view would display correctly and it was formatted correctly, because there were so many differences between one type of information than another. I know from going to capsules to company to course to just anything else, it was completely different. And I did end up having to drop some of those tabs that I wanted to work on, and it was because there was just so much information. I was spending too much on just getting the formatting right, and it just started to take up a lot of time. But I know that I did a pretty good job in splitting off the what needed to be done first. Um, the fifth question here, student writes code that is free of syntax and logical errors. Students adapt to develop with the developer tools built in each browser, breakpoints, stepping through and inspecting code, using the element, CSS inspector, console, etc. Students able to successfully set up try catch blocks in the code to handle potential runtime errors. Now, um, I only put I selected proficient at this because I still struggle a bit using breakpoints and stepping through using developer tools. I don't think I have a very good understanding with that yet, and I'm still kind of learning that. But I know that um, I need to learn it, and even though I can most of the time figure out what's going on without using the stepping through. I can I need to learn it, um, and it's just been a good thing that I've been able to figure out my bugs without having to rely too much on breakpoints, because I just don't. I know where to go to navigate to it, and again, it's thanks to one of my teammates that was able to kind of show me. Um, and then the last question here: student can successfully build a simple single page application spa using HTML, JavaScript, CSS. Student applies mobile application design best practices in their application. Student can manipulate DOM with JavaScript. Student can efficiently utilize event listeners with Java to handle user events. Student is able to pull data from an external source file or API with JavaScript. Student makes some effort organizing their code using objects, classes, modules, separation of concerns, or an architectural philosophy such as MVC. Student makes efficient use of CSS transitions slash animations in their applications. And I, as you can see, I have very simple animations here. I do have this site mobile user friendly. It does scale down up and down correctly. So if you had a phone, you could definitely see this site correctly. And I know this is the smallest view available, is 280 uh, width. And as you can see, everything's displaying correctly. I do have links, they all work. And um, uh, as far as I know, the API does pull everything correctly. And I am following this MVC structure that we worked on in week 9. Um, and let me just go back here. I might have been missing something. Um, as far as event listeners, that's what I use to make sure that the list items inside of this on order list would be able to know when they need to display um, this information down here. So there's an event listener on that, and these right here, just because it takes some time to kind of load the API information. Each click of this menu buttons, or the nav buttons, is a an action that needs to be taking place to call that information again. And I feel like I did that pretty well. Um, so yeah, I don't think there's anything else I need to talk about. Thank you.